Hello everyone, Ryan Archer, West Ham Fan TV. First of all, I hope you're all safe and well, during these difficult times. Tough at the moment in lockdown, but we're all getting through it. Today, I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by a product of the class of 96, the Youth Academy, Lee Hodges. Lee, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Bit bored, but just staying in and getting on with it and trying to make the best of it, really.
Yeah, it's difficult times at the moment, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, just I can't believe there's no sport on. The only time I've got to stay in and there's no sport on.
Well, someone I done an interview with the other day said they found the Belarus Football League, but I think even that's finished now.
That's clutching. I don't think I can watch that.
That's probably right, Lee. The reason I got you on today, mate, is because I think that we've seen so many youth players come through West Ham, and some have obviously gone to the very top, but people seem to forget about the players that don't always make it, but they obviously had as big as impact as the others during their youth careers at West Ham.
Yeah.
So let's go back to. I mean, you're a West Ham fan. You was born in Plaistow.
Yeah.
So I mean, before we get into you signing for the club, who was your heroes? Who was when Lee Hodges went over the park with his mates? Who was you pretending to be? Who was your favourite?
Probably John Barnes at the time. I went and see him once. He played against Charlton. My uncle took me, and he just stood out for me that day. And I basically from there just liked him and kept watching him. And he went to Liverpool and all that. So, but when my dad first took me, it was Alan Devonshire and them sort of players. But I didn't really understand it so much then. It was more overwhelming. So I didn't really pay much. And then once it was like Dixie and all them sort of boys, and then next minute I'm in the changing room cleaning their boots. So it was a very surreal sort of thing to happen. But because I used to go every home game, I was in the North Bank every home game, and so yeah, it was a game changer for me because I basically got signed at last minute. I was never at West Ham the whole time I was in my youth team.
Was your Arsenal first?
I was at Arsenal for a long time, and then Charlton come in and they offered me a good contract when I was about 14. They just said you can have basically what you want, really, if you come and sign. So I was playing for England at the time, and then lastminute.com, West Ham come in and said, listen, we'll match whatever they do, however many years you want to sign, and if you sign for us. So
I mean, just as a fan, I mean, we all support West Ham. I'm a boyhood fan, and it's a dream to play. So when West Ham signed you, I mean, what was that like for you and for your family as well, being West Ham fans?
Yeah, it was a no-brainer. Like, I mean, I knew they was interested, but for me, I wanted them to have as long as that they wasn't as keen as everyone else. So I don't know why, but they never was. And then the last minute they come in, and like me and my dad was sitting there, and they come in, and my dad was just kept looking at me as like, and I was thinking, like it was a no-brainer straight away.
It must be crazy. It must be crazy to think.
But I used to sit because my dad didn't really take me or anything. It weren't until I was about 14, 15, I went on my own. I used to sit up there and wait for a goal to go in because my house was about 100 metres away. So I just wait for a cheer and run down to my dad. So yeah, it was very surreal.
That's good. I mean, obviously, the title of the video is the class of 96. I mean, we had some unbelievable talent in that team. Tony Carr obviously was the manager at the time. I mean, what was he like? I mean, he's obviously an absolute legend at West Ham. He's brought through so many great talent over the years. What was it like working under him?
He's just so calm. So he never really shouted, never really got angry. Spoke to you as a man rather than as a boy. He was just because I've been with some managers that shout and scream, and really for me it just makes you a nervous wreck. Whereas when he spoke, he didn't have to shout or scream. You just listened, and it wasn't like a full blown long story like you did it. It was like short and sharp. Do this, do that, and he was just a nice man. Even with like I know people they don't do it now, but we used to do our jobs. And it was the best time, honestly, when we used to have to go and take the piss out, or take the mickey out of each other, and we had to clean that big gym. We had to sweep it all out. But in them times, he'd asked us to do it, and it was no one would ever bat an eye. And it was the best times we could do it and do anything like that.
Yeah, that's
surprised they don't do it now.
comes down to sort of respect, doesn't it? I mean, you respected Tony Carr, and obviously he was your manager. You'd do anything to get into his first team at the time.
Yeah, no, I mean, but he never really. It was weird because he'd just designate our jobs, and he knew we'd do it. He didn't even have to come and check. He didn't even have to, like, the kit, the boots, it was all done. But and it weren't through being shouted at or playing or anything like that. It just everyone done it, and we had a good team, to be fair, and it does help that you're winning every week. I mean, we very rarely lost. So,
oh, there you go.
there you go.
Disappeared. Then I think done a disappearing act. I mean, look, that '96 season with the youth team, obviously the Youth Cup final that year, we played Liverpool 2 legs. Yeah. I mean, the first leg at Upton Park, unfortunately, lost 2-0. I mean, but what was it like that day to play in front? Because that must have been at that time probably the biggest crowd you've ever played in front of. There was just over 15,000 that day.
It felt weird because you could see all the people like outside and that, and then because the youth games, you're not used to that, you know, driving up to the ground and there's people all standing outside and burger stalls and all stuff like that. And it's weird when you come away from it, how you sort of go so quick and you just go out there enjoying the game. And I did enjoy the game. I played all right, actually, for a change. And but the result wasn't the best. So it was disappointing because we knew it was going to be hard up there as well, because we knew that Owen was coming back, wasn't he? So
because I was just about to say, because in the Liverpool team that day in the home leg, Jamie Carragher played. Obviously, in the away leg, they had Michael Owen as well. And obviously, we know what them two went on to do in football. And it's mad. I mean, the second leg, I mean, as a youngster going up to Anfield, and I think they had about 20,000 there that day. And we scored after about 50-odd seconds, didn't we, to get back?
Yeah, Lamp scored.
Lamp scored. But unfortunately, you know, they went on to score.
Yeah, we thought we was in the game, to be fair. We thought, like, we're back in it. And it was, I think it was still 2-1 at half time. I'm not sure. Or 2-1 over the 2 legs, and then they put Owen on, and it was I think he might have been 14 at the time,
and
we were 16, or he might have been 15 and we were 17, I think, maybe that. And he was playing against Rio, right?
How quick was he then?
Well, he was playing against Rio, and Rio was like a Rolls Royce, you know what I mean? Very rarely did you see him get beat, and this kid come on, he scored 2 goals in about 20 minutes. That was it. Game was done. It opened my eyes. I'd never seen anyone like that before.
Yeah,
especially against Rio, you know. I mean,
yeah. I mean, as I said, you know, we all know what he went on to do in football. It's just a shame the injury stopped him winning a lot more. You know,
that's what I was going to say. The injuries. I mean, once he'd done that at Leeds, I think not it was over, but he had to change his game to something that weren't as sharp as he was before.
I mean, that team also won the South East Counties League as well. You know, you got presented on the pitch at Upton Park in front of the crowd. I mean, what was that like? What was that feeling like?
Yeah, it was all. Like I say, it was all. We was trying to enjoy it, and you do, but then the next minute, I think a couple of us was on the bench, or Lamps might have even been starting. I think maybe, or Rio was starting. So we was having the photographs or getting the trophy at the start of the game, and yeah, I mean, it's just nice to be appreciated as well by, and the thing is, you know what West Ham fans, they love their own. They love their things like the kids coming through. Like West Ham fans have always been the same. They'd rather see a kid come through than we go and buy a £50 million player. They get excited by a £50 million player, but if a kid come through, West Ham fans, even myself, we love it. You know what I mean?
It's like when you see Mark Noble in the team now, what he's gone on to do. You know,
because it's different. You know that they're actually. I mean, I'm not saying people just take it for the money, but people that actually care. You know what I mean? They actually. You're gutted. I'm gutted when West Ham lose when I wasn't in the team. So it's a different kettle of fish.
I mean, seven players out of that team went on to make first team appearances. I mean, Neil Finn in goal, made his debut. He was just before his 17th birthday, I think it was. Man City away. I remember he had an unbelievable game. Well, we lost the game 2-1, but unbelievable.
Yeah. Paul Gitt never got to play again, really. No, I don't. No, I mean, he is one of them positions now that he done the gaff for a favour and he didn't let him down, really. I mean, couldn't have done no more on the day, I don't
No.
think. And I mean, like all of us, really, I don't think we really let the club down when we got given the opportunity. A couple went on to do more and do better, and a couple of us went lower leagues and still made us, well, even though mine was cut short through injury, still managed to do quite well out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, the others were Lee Boland, Chris Coyne, Manny Olomanini. I mean, we all remember him. I mean, he's probably famously remembered for the Worthington Cup. Yeah, I felt sorry for him. I
mean, it's one of them when the gaffer tells you you're playing, don't think nothing of it. I wouldn't have thought anything of it. I mean, you always think the hierarchy know what they're doing, right? I mean, you don't know how it works. I mean, we know in the FA Cup, but in the Coca-Cola Cup, I don't know. And you always, and the gaffer goes, yeah, you're playing. You don't think you can. What do you say?
Disappointed. I did feel sorry for him at the time. You know,
he got battered, didn't he?
I mean, the other two players that were in your team, Frank Lampard Jr. and Rio Ferdinand. I mean, Frank Lampard went on to make 186 appearances for the first team, 37 goals. Rio 158 and 2 goals. Obviously, we know they went on to have great careers for Chelsea, and Rio had Leeds and Man United, and they both had great England careers as well, both captaining their countries. I mean, when you look back now, I mean, you think about Rio and Lampard. At that time, did you look at them both and think, yeah, they're going to go to the very top? Or did you think maybe they wasn't, like maybe Rio was going to go, but maybe because a lot of fans and people thought that Frank Lampard wasn't going to make it as high as he did. But you're their friend. So did you know? Did you have a feeling that they was going to go to the very top?
I'm going to be really honest. I thought Rio had a chance. I mean, when he come, he was bang average in the youngsters, and then all of a sudden they put him centre half, and he was like, he was coming out with the ball. It's like a Rolls Royce. Like, I mean, I always say it. He was just, you couldn't get past him. You think you beat him, and then he's just this lanky leg had come right across you, and his arm had come across you, and you just thought, okay, you got to give him the ball. Like, he's got the ball. Thing is, playing with Lamps in the youth team, he'd have an average game and go and score 2 goals, and you'd think, well, he ain't really done anything, but he always done something. I mean, anyone who scores 20 goals from midfield or 25 goals from midfield every year, even if he ain't playing well, he's gold dust. So, I mean, for me, I didn't know he would go on and do as well as he did, but he did do well.
I mean,
he deserves it.
I mean, be honest. I mean, do you think that obviously at the time that Rio and Lamps were pushed more than some of the other players? Obviously, at the time, Harry Redknapp was the manager at the time, and he was Frank's uncle, and then obviously Dad, Frank Lampard Senior, was the assistant. Do you think that them two were pushed a lot more than, or given them more opportunities than what some of the others?
I think that they were stuck by a little bit more. I mean, which is good. Which I think if you've got a youth player, I find it really frustrating to stick them in once, and if they don't do well, that's it. Because if you went and bought someone for 30, 40 million, and they was poor in one game, you wouldn't just leave them on the bench or leave them on the sidelines. But because they're young lads, they come in at 18, 19, you start them, they have one bad game, that's it. Your career, because you're an English geezer and you're basically they've not spent a load of dough on you, you've forgotten about a little bit. That's what I think anyway.
Are you still in contact with Lampard or Rio?
No, I don't. No, I mean they're at a different level now, aren't they? I mean, they was hard enough to get to when they was just playing, let alone now they're doing all this stuff. I mean they're always my mates, and I mean if we bumped into each other, we'd probably just steer off as we've always done. But for me, I think they're just a different level. They got too much on their hands to.
And they, I mean, the last person obviously was yourself. I mean, you broke into the first team. You made 6 appearances in total. I know you'd love to have obviously played a lot more games, but I mean, your debut was you come on as a sub at Tottenham away. I mean, what do you remember about that day? I mean, when you're told you're in the first team squad and you're on the bench.
Well, I was out on loan at Plymouth, and I got a phone. I got called up by the Plymouth gaffer and said like they need you back. They're short. So I was like, all right. So I just thought I'd be 16th, or whatever it was there, one out. And then I got told I was on the bench at Tottenham, which, I mean, you know what West Ham Tottenham are like. So I'm over the moon. And the best bit for me was, we was 1-0 down. and it must have been about 10 minutes to go, maybe 10, 15 minutes, and the gaffer said to warm up, and I warmed up, and as I warmed up, I've run down to the corner where the West Ham fans were, and they're all up, clapping me, and I was like, yeah, me. I looked around and thinking,
how was your feeling though? I bet your nerves were proper going.
what happened there?
I don't know, you disappeared again. You're doing a disappearing act.
Huh? What happened
Oh,
there?
we're back. We're back. I don't know, mate. I don't know. That's the problem with technology, mate. Sometimes things like this happen. But
Yeah,
so you can hear me now, yeah?
yeah, I've got you.
I was just about to get on to the good bit as well when you cut off.
What was that then?
Well, the next game, you made your home debut. West Ham against Everton at Upton Park.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, you're on the bench. What do you remember about that day? I mean, knowing that you was on the bench at the Bowling Ground, you know, you might make your home debut today. What was that like?
Nerve-wracking. I was all right, no, to be fair. I wasn't too bad. The thing was, when I was on the bench, I never really thought I was going to get on. I never thought that I was being one of the first ones that the gaffer would put me on. So I never really, always sort of relaxed, and I thought to myself, and I knew I was never really going to get a good run. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was always going to get either last 5 minutes, last 10 minutes if we're 1-0 up to kill a bit of time, or I just didn't ever really think I was going to get on. And then the main game for me was Arsenal. That's when that was the best thing I've ever done in my life. That was when we went 1-1, and then the extra time.
Yeah.
And I stood in the middle of so we had like a team talk at the end of the game. So it's like going into extra time, and then the whole crowd was like singing "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles," and I was like, it's just tingling down my back when I was trying to listen to a team talk. I was thinking, this is it. Like this is the one. That was a moment for me that stuck with me.
I mean, going back to your home debut against Everton, I mean, obviously it was a big day that day. If you remember, it was Trevor Sinclair's debut that day. Yeah. Can you remember the starting lineup that day? Can you remember?
No.
I'm going to quickly put it on the screen. I'm going to show you because you got Craig Forrest, Steve Potts, Tim Breaker, Ian Pearce, Rio, Al Berkovic, Lampard Jr., Lazaridis, Lomas, Sinclair, and John Hartson. I mean, there's a few big names on there. And look at Lee Hodges come on 85th minute for Trevor Sinclair. I mean, perfect day. I mean, all we needed
told him to go down. Told him to go down. Go down.
Yeah, Trev, you've had your moment, mate. You've got your 2 goals on your
enough moments. Let me have 5.
But I mean, quickly going on to, I mean, we'll talk a bit about your teammates first, because what I've done, I spoke to a couple of your former teammates this week. So I told them I'd be speaking to you, and I just said to them, like, what was your thoughts about Lee and things like that. So I'm going to put a couple of them up on the screen now, mate. I'm going to start off with Ian Bishop. Like he said, I had a similar scenario at Everton. There was a lot of good players ahead of Lee, and it was difficult to establish himself. He was a skillful and very sharp. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions to leave for familiar surroundings and move on. And he was strong enough to take that chance. I class Lee as a very good friend and always love his company. Top man. I mean, I've also got one here from John Hartson as well. Is what Hodgie was a great lad. Always played with a smile on his face. Really good kid. Didn't know him that well, but at the time I spent with him was great. He was a good player and was in a top group of players. I hope he is happy nowadays and contented with life. Please pass on my best. And the player that you replaced that day, Trevor Sinclair, great lad, Hodgie, good young player, really fun, happy as personality, but found it difficult with the players ahead of him who ended up being iconic players. Please send my regards. I mean, when you hear comments like that from them sort of players, you know, they all sort of said similar things, you know, very talented, you know, skillful. But you just at that time come through with a group of lads that, you know, you had the Rios, the Lampards, you know, and when you see this, how do you feel?
Yeah, nice. Like, I mean, to be fair as well, we had a good team spirit. Like the boys there were, I mean, they always say, I laugh at everything. You know what I'm like. I'm always mucking about or having a laugh. So, and the boys there were like that. So, and like you say, there was some good. I mean, Trevor Sinclair, he played for England and everything. And I'm trying to get on the left wing where he plays, and you try and be patient, and if the opportunity comes up, then you've got to take it. And I don't really think I had the opportunity. That's the only thing I regret. I wouldn't mind. I just wanted to start one game, and if I didn't do it or I weren't good enough, I'd have been. But to always only get like 5 minutes, I don't think I ever really got the opportunity. Whether I deserved the opportunity or not, I don't know, but I'd never got the opportunity.
Just thinking about it, I mean, I remember you. I see a lot of reserve games when I was a youngster. I remember you playing a lot of reserve games, and I agree with them. I see you as someone that wanted to play football on the floor, take people on, and I think that showed later on in your Scunthorpe career that you've done that a lot. I mean, do you feel that you would get more chances if you played in today's game than back then? Because I think back then was a more sort of physical game. Now it's more players like to get the ball down and play football. Do you feel like if you was coming through the team now,
I think
you'd get more chances?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more played on the floor, especially but to be fair, West Ham, we weren't really humpers. We weren't really smashing it up the field. I know we brought in John Hartson and then we got around him a little bit, but even then we had people like Bish. You couldn't miss Bish out. Bish could pass all day, and you had to go through him. And so I can't even say that we weren't really a footballing team, and I didn't get the ball on the floor and thingy, because we did really. I mean, we had people like Di Canio out there. You're not going to be able to hump it up to Arts and let hopefully all the best. So a little bit, but I don't think I was in a squad that was like that anyway, that didn't pass or weren't sharp, or like people like Berkovic in training. My God, we just couldn't get the ball off the geezer. He was like, pop it round the corner. But like even that day, when you did the John Hartson thing, we all didn't want to be in that day, but because he was so busy, I think everyone was getting wound up with him. And then he got John Hartson.
I mean, I remember them days going down the training ground. It was a great memories for me as a fan. You remember yourself. You used to pull in the car park, and the fans were allowed to come up to you and talk to you. Nice. And I said this to you before. I've got a photo of me and you. I mean, you don't look like you've changed much. I mean, me, I've proper changed, but
you have to show me.
It's
I'm breathing in at the minute. That's why.
I mean, just before we move on, I mean, you mentioned a few of your teammates there. I mean, even as a fan, I remember going down the training ground. But for you, you turned up, and it was, I wouldn't say it was a job. It was a dream. You turned up. What were some of the characters like? I mean, Razor Ruddock, John Moncur, Julian Dix, Di Canio. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
I mean,
Ian Wright.
Wrighty. I got quite close to Wrighty because I was always at the back of the running pre-season, and he signed for us. And me and him was at the back of the running. It was me, him, and John Hartson. So he was always the last. So I end up there. I mean, he is such a nice man. I didn't know what to expect, but Ian Wright, what a luck. And people like Monks, I mean, you didn't know what could happen at training. You didn't know. I mean, there could be 1,000 photographers there, and he'd come out stark naked, running about the training ground, and you could hear Harry going, Monks! You think, oh, what's he done now? It's like, there were so many people mucking about. People like Dixie. When I met Dixie, it was in the physio's room. And you had them ice buckets.
Yeah.
And he's picked me up, literally, trying to get me head in the ice bucket. And I'm thinking, this is Dixie. I've only been there like a couple of months. I want to give him a cuddle, but then he's put me head in the ice bucket.
I mean, that's what I think that's missing in today's game is characters like that. Mate,
I was going to say that. It's just, I think it's more of a job now than it is then. I mean, we got paid to play football. I think now you get paid. You don't have a life. You can't do nothing. You get told what to eat, what time you get up, what time you go to bed. You get monitored. You got to do. I mean, we was at training at 10 o'clock. We was done by 12:30. I mean, it don't make it right, but I'm just saying. I think it's more of a job now. They get paid a lot of money, but it is a job rather than when we played.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, mate. And I think that's one thing I mean, there are a few characters at West Ham, but I just think you wouldn't be. I think that's a dying breed now. Like all these old players. In 20 years' time, you're going to have players going to these after dinners talking about how we used to sit up and play FIFA all night. And
that's what I'm saying.
They won't have funny stories.
There's nothing, and that's what I mean. Like no one can take away my stories or the memories I've got. But I couldn't imagine just. I don't know. Maybe I would have to, because that's how you got to be. But they're more like machines now, aren't they? These players, they're told what to do, told what to eat, told what time. I mean, I think a bit robotic, really, more than anything else. Which, I mean, if that's what you got to do to earn a lot of money, you have to do it. But in my day, it was fun. Which I don't know. There's not much fun in life as it is there? So I feel that as a job was, you got paid to keep fit, play football, and have a laugh. So.
No, totally agree, mate. Totally agree. I mean, as I said, you played 6 times for the club. You was loaned out a few times to various clubs. Eventually, I mean, you did leave the club in '99. Was it '99 to join Scunthorpe?
2000. Yeah.
I mean, I read that you actually turned down a new contract from West Ham. I mean, look, you went on to have a great career in the lower leagues, but is there any regret of not signing that new deal and maybe sticking it out just in case, or did you just feel, I'm not going to make it at West Ham, I've got to take that step down?
I said to the gaffer, I said, listen, if I've got 10% chance of you saying you will play me or give me a chance, I'll sign. I said, I'm not bothered about the money, what the money was. And it wasn't that much money more. I think it was probably a couple of £100 more and contract for over the 2 years, maybe £500, I'm not sure. But I said, I was getting fed up of having to keep going out to someone and that not being part of anything. I mean, going into a changing room and I was either getting sent out to someone that was bottom of the league or third from bottom. Changing room at the ump, everyone was as low as snake's belly, and I come in to try and help out and whatever. And I mean, I think I've got a stat that no one else has got. That's the only one thing I think I've got. I think I played in every division by the time I was 19.
Mental. It's crazy, man.
I mean, I did enjoy it. No, don't get me wrong, because it was first team football, and I just wanted. There's nothing better than getting up on a Saturday morning, knowing you're playing in the first team. But then then when the gaffer said, I can't give you that promise. I can't say that to you. I said, but if you can't give me 10%, then I can't sign. And he went mad, basically.
Yeah, I mean, how did it affect you personally? Like, knowing that, you've got to leave the club that you love, you want to be there, but you're not going to get the chance. I mean, did it affect you emotionally, mentally?
No. I just moved on. No, I think if it's like in any job, if you know you're not liked, it's not about gaffer. The gaffer was fine with me. He liked me. I still see him now and give him a cuddle. He's fine, but he just didn't fancy me as a player. He's like, and I don't hold him against that. Not everyone does, and that was it. So I just knew, and even like I was getting on the coach at like whatever o'clock in the morning or on a Friday, knowing that I'm just going to be sitting in the stand again. And I mean, it gets frustrating. I'm getting to like 19 near, and you can see the Lamps are playing, Rio's playing every week, and I'm thinking, I don't want to be helping with a kit or walking out and then having to do running after a game. I was thinking, I don't want to be doing running up and down a pitch and going getting after a game just to keep fit so I can have the Sunday morning off. I'm like, just fed up with it, basically. So I knew I had to do something. I'm not saying Scunthorpe was the right club. It turned out to be the right club because I really, really enjoyed it and I've done okay. Away from my injuries, I think I'd have gone higher. Not Premiership, but I think I would have gone higher.
Yeah, no, I mean, looking at your Scunthorpe career, mate, I mean, 113 appearances, 20 goals. You was there from 99 to 2002. It's to play 100 games for any club, any professional club is a good achievement. Is a great achievement. And I think I read as well. Was you in the Division 3 Team of the Year? And
twice on the trot.
Yeah. So, and as I said, I mean, whenever I interview someone, I always look back at the highlights. And I mean, you scored some great goals for Scunthorpe. Cutting in, and I see one. I think you tweeted it out the other day.
Yeah, that was my favourite one. That was was Donny in a FA Cup. Yeah, it's a good one.
No, it's great. I mean, as I said, you had to drop down, and you made that decision, and it turned out to be the right decision because, as I said, you went on to play over 100 games for Scunthorpe. Yeah. You left Scunthorpe. You played for Rochdale and Bristol Rovers as well.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah.
Then after that, I mean, you had to drop down to non-league football. You signed for Thurrock.
Yeah, I basically got told I couldn't play. I couldn't train every day. My knee had just given up basically. So training every day was impossible. And the surgeon, I just had a baby at the time, and the surgeon pulled me in and said, you're going to have to retire. You cannot play professional football. We've tried everything. They tried drilling in my bone and stuff like that. And so I went home, told the missus. So I had to come back. I had to come back where my family and friends were. To then obviously try and get a normal job, get into non-league, and just go from there, really. And that's what I had to do.
Yeah, I mean, it don't matter if you're, a Premier League player or a non-league player. When you're told that you can't play football no more, I mean, that must be heartbreaking.
Well, that's all I knew. I mean, I've never worked a day in my life. Like, I wouldn't have had a clue what to do next. Or it was it was a tough time for me. That was when it hit me, really, because I wasn't from going as a professional footballer to not being able to do anything. And I knew I was struggling from when I left Scunthorpe, to be honest. Sort of getting by games, but wasn't sharp, wasn't good enough. And then I'd score a worldie and get myself back in the team for a couple of games, and then I couldn't run. I couldn't get my socks on a Sunday. So I knew I was.
Yeah. So you just knew it. You just knew it was time.
Yeah, I knew. And when the surgeon said it weren't something that I went, really? It was like, yeah, I know, sort of thing. So I had to just get on with it.
I mean, you spent you played at various clubs in the non-league, but back in 2010, your old gaffer Tony Carr had a testimonial at Upton Park.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like when you got the invite to come back?
Yeah, I mean, once he told me who was playing and stuff like that, I mean,
well, I've actually got a team photo here, so I'm just going to put it up, and if you just talk through some of your team, I mean, looking at the team that day, I mean.
Look at me right in the middle at the front.
I know.
I thought I'm not missing this opportunity.
But no, I mean, you just look around that team there, and you got your John Terry, Frank Lampard, Rio.
Yeah,
there's just so many players there. So and to think they all come through.
Even Slates, wouldn't it? I mean,
yes, I mean, look, you got Frank Lampard Senior on the end now, Alvin Martin.
Yeah, Di Canio. How did Canio get there? Was he there when he was 14 or something?
Well, he actually did he play for you in the second half? Didn't he?
Yeah, he come on. Yeah.
I mean, what was that like? I mean,
yeah, I mean,
just all the boys again.
Yeah, just to see all the boys again. People like, I mean, even Di Canio. I actually ended up sitting next to him in the changing rooms, and I don't know why he was in the reserve team changing rooms, but somehow he got in there, and I even think to myself, oh, I don't know whether he's going to remember me. As soon as I walked in, hey, Hodgie, I was like, yeah, hello, Paolo.
The thing is, when you walk back into that change room, it's like you see each other every day, isn't it? It's mad.
It just goes like that. I mean, that's a massive thing as well. Missing a changing room. I mean, such a giggle and before games and the banter. And that's
a lot of ex-players say that the one thing they miss is not even the playing, it's the training ground, the banter, the lads.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what it's like now, but I think they struggle with a bit of banter nowadays. I don't think many of the kids can take it as well as we sort of did at the time, because I think they'd have had a soul cut. But yeah, the banter, and even I tried to stay in non-league as much as I could, just to be able to get in the change rooms, have a bit of banter, and then go and have a game of football. But I even struggled with that after a while.
I mean, just quickly before we wrap it up, mate. I mean, looking back on your career, is there any regrets? Is there anything you do different, or
Nah, I'd never look at. I'm not that type of person. You know me, right? You've only been away with me once, and I always think I'm a lucky boy. I've done something.
Struggling now. That was 2 years ago.
No, I think I look at people get frustrated with me because they think I should be upset or down. I've done something that every kid would love to do.
I was just about to say that you've lived the dream of millions of football fans. No one that whether you played 6 times, 100 times, or once for West Ham, no one can ever take that away from you.
That's what I mean. So and these kids, you see them trying their hardest and doing things and that, and I think to myself, I've done it. No one can. I've played in the Premiership. There's nothing anyone could take away from me. So why have I got to be down? Why people would give their right arm to be able to have done what I've done? So I've never been like that. People get frustrated that I ain't, but it's just my character that I'll never be like that.
As I said, mate, you got the memories. You know, you've got, and as I said, no one can ever take that away from you. You played for West Ham. You played for your club.
And I'm still doing things like we did at Lazio and Tony Carr's things and that. I mean, that Lazio was amazing. That was, I mean, you was there. That was one of the greatest things I've ever done. I mean, I couldn't believe it. At my age, 40 years of age, I'm playing in front of 50,000 people.
Yeah, I don't think the best preparation was getting pissed the night before.
No, but it was a good laugh.
It was, honestly, mate. Even just being over there as a fan coming along with us, it was unreal. And when you're looking at the Lazio lineup and you're like legend after legend, you got Kazaragi and you're thinking, oh bloody hell, right?
But even then, when you was with us, you fitted it like you would have never known you was supporter. We just all had a good laugh, all was in together. That's what it should be like, right?
Yeah, no, it was a great trip.
And that's what I think football's lost a little bit, you know, like between the players and the crowd. I mean, you know more than what I do. I don't see it, but I don't think there's that connection as much unless it's like robots, you know. It's not.
Nah. There's been times where we've approached current first team players and we don't hear nothing back, mate. But as soon as you message an ex-player, I mean, I messaged Bishop, Hartson and Sinclair on the other night and they all got back straight away, mate.
That's what I'm saying. And even in the day when you used to do that, we would always take interviews or whatever. We would never, very rarely would you be rude enough to say no to anyone. It was just polite enough. But listen, it's a different. I mean, to be fair to them, they've only got to say one wrong thing and the whole world's blown up in front of their faces, isn't it? You know, so it is a bit different now.
Do you know what, mate? I'll tell you a quick story from the training ground when I used to go down there when you was playing in that. Razor Ruddock. Now, bearing in mind I was 15 at the time, I said to it, I had my autograph book. I went, hello, Razor. I had a photo done with him. And these were back in the days. There weren't no camera phones. That you had to get it done on a Polaroid and wait 2 weeks for it to be printed out to see what it looked like. But I remember him saying to him, all right, Razor, can you write a message for me? So he's written it and then give me the book back. I ain't really looked at it. And I'm standing there and I'm flicking through and I've seen what he's written. And basically, he's written, you see you next Tuesday, love, Neil Ruddock. And I'm like, I'm 15 years old, Razor, man. But that's what he was like, you know. But if a player done that now, people would be trying to sue him and I've still got that autograph book, mate, as memories. Like,
that's what I love. It's just normal life, right? It's a bit of banter. It's nothing nasty. You're not doing anything. You can't say anything.
He was great at the training ground. I remember one day it was pissing down the rain. There was me and two mates, and he see us leaving the training ground. He went, where he's going? And we went, our station. He went, jump in. He gave us a lift up to the train station, Chad Weef.
Couldn't do that now, could you?
We tried to push our luck, saying, can you take us back to Canning Town? But he said, fuck off.
You probably shit yourself. That's
right. He said, I ain't got a bulletproof vest in the car. I'll never forget that. Never forget that. Yeah. But, I mean, just quickly before we go, mate, I mean, West Ham now, do you still get over there much?
No, I've got 4 daughters, so I struggle to get any of that. They ain't really into their football. So weekends, I work during the week. So weekends, I sort of spend my time with them. But if I can, I like the midweekers. That's what I like. I've always liked midweek games.
Yeah, under the lights.
Always better atmosphere. I always don't get the ump going home. And so, yeah.
Especially in like a proper London derby under the lights.
Chelsea I went to when we beat them 1-0. That was good.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that's what I mean. I know we got disappointed with the ground and that, but you can have that atmosphere if they're playing well and they're up there, you know, on the night game. I know it is a bit further away and it's never going to replace Upton Park, but if the crowd are behind you, you know, like that day I was thinking, bloody hell, this is proper. I mean, there's not 80,000 people.
Yeah. But Lee, look, listen, mate, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it, mate. As I said at the beginning, you know, we all see the players that go on, but to talk to yourself about, you know, how you had to drop down to the league and leave your boyhood club, mate. Honestly, thank you so much for.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
But yeah, no, listen, we'll have to meet up soon for a beer once all this is over. Anyway, it's been a long time, mate.
Sure, turn to pay this time.
Yeah, I'll let you. You can have that one, mate. But Lee, look, mate. As always, stay safe during these times, mate. And thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Cheers, mate.
No worries, mate. Take care.
Sorry, bye.